So you already know about a generator. So generator means it takes a mechanical input power and converts it into electrical output power. Okay, so that means it takes a mechanical input power and converts it into electrical energy. So the basic principle of a DC or generator is nothing but it takes the mechanical input power and converts it into electrical output. So in case of a DC generator, so you're getting output as a direct current. So the output of the electrical energy must be a direct current. So then the type of a generator is nothing but a DC generator. Okay, so you know the principle. Now you know the what is the action of a generator. So why we are using a generator means it gives a electrical output. So whenever the power cut arises, we are using a generators to back up or restore the energy or restore the power. Okay, so generators are used as a backup for the power supply. Okay, now we will discuss about what is the construction of a DC generator. We'll see construction. So in point of construction of a generator, so basically every rotating machine consisting of two parts. One is called as a stator, second one is called as a rotor. You know that a stator is a stationary part. Stator is a stationary part and rotor is a rotating part. Rotor is called as a rotating part. Okay, so by using these two parts in a rotating machine, we can generate electricity. So how can we generate electricity? By using this diagram, we can observe what is a stator and what is a rotor. The outer part of the circle is represented as a stator. That means this is a stationary part. The outer part is a stationary part and the inner part is rotating part. That is why it is called as a rotor. In case of a DC generator, or in case of a DC machine, the rotor can be called as armature. This is the technical terms. This must be remember. Okay, must be remember. In case of a DC generator, the rotor is called as a armature. That is a technical term of this generators. Okay, now we'll see about a construction. So I already told about in construction major two parts are there, stator and rotor. Stator is a stationary part and rotor is a rotating part. Now I have represented the stator and rotor in the form of a generator. So where is the rotor present in case of a DC generator? It is the innermost part of the rotor. It is the innermost part of the generator, that is called as a rotor. It is also called as a armature, and the outermost part, which is a stationary part, that is called as a stator. Okay, so now we can see what are the parts present in a stator. So the first part is outer part is nothing but a yoke. Yoke is an outer core of a machine. It protects the machine, inner parts of the machine. Okay, pole core is the second part. Now we'll discuss about one by one. First I am writing the parts present in a stator, major parts present in a stator. These are pole core and pole shoe. The next one is about a field winding and brushes. Okay, so these five parts are present in a major parts. These are the major parts present in a stator. Now we will see one by one what is the function of these parts. We will see one by one. Okay, so as we know that yoke is an outer core of a machine. It protects yoke is an outer core of a machine. It protects all the inner parts of the machine. It is made up of a low reluctance material. It is made up of a low reluctance material. Why it is made up of a low reluctance material means, so if the reluctance is represented as S is the reluctance. So you all know about reluctance. Reluctance is a opposition of magnetic flux. It is a property which opposes the magnetic flux. So reluctance is a ratio of MMF to flux. So it is a definition. So reluctance is opposite to the flux, so which can be represented as reluctance is inversely proportional to flux. So what is meant by flux? Magnetic flux. So whenever you consider two poles, north pole and south pole, the imaginary lines of force existing around these poles are nothing but a flux. These imaginary lines of force present in and around the magnet is nothing but a flux. This is called as a magnetic flux. Okay, now we are talking about magnetic flux. Why? Because so in DC generators there are parts present in a stator is nothing but a poles. So by using the poles we can get the flux. Okay, how here north pole is formed, how here south pole is formed, there is another topic. That is another topic we will discuss later. So but the sake of remembers, we are talking about a yoke. Okay, so yoke is an outer core of a machine. Yoke is a outer core of a machine. It protects it protects the inner parts of a machine. It protects the inner parts of a machine. So I'm writing here, it protects the inner parts of the machine. Okay, and it is made up of what? It is made up of low reluctance material. So I already told that. What is meant by reluctance? Reluctance is a property of a magnetic material which opposes the flow of magnetic flux, which opposes the magnetic flux. It is represented by capital S. So it can be also defined as mmf. It is ratio of mmf to flux. So reluctance is opposition to flux. So it is made up of a yoke is made up of a reluctance. So if there is a low reluctance means the flux is high. Low reluctance means the flux is high. Okay, so suppose low reluctance means S is low. If S is low means flux is high. So in order to produce more amount of flux nearer the poles, so the yoke is made up of a low reluctance material. Okay, so what is the low reluctance material? How we can find out the low reluctance material? So by using a permeability property. So more which the permeability is a technical term in case of electrical. These are the electrical terminology. Permeability property means which it allows, it is a property of a material, it is the property of a magnetic material which allows more magnetic lines of force. Okay, so this is the permeability property. So if the reluctance is low means flux will be more. Flux is nothing but the magnetic lines of force, so the permeability property is high. So permeability property, whenever the reluctance is low the permeability is high. So this type of materials is nothing but a low reluctance materials. So those are nothing but a silicon. Example for this high permeability materials are nothing but a silicon. Silicon is a high permeability material, so that means the yoke is made up of a silicon material here. Okay, so I already told that the yoke protects the inner parts of a machine and it is the outer core of a machine. That is another point. It is the outer cover of the machine. So I have told the three essential points of a yoke. That is nothing but it is the outer core of a machine and it protects the inner parts of the machine and it is made up of a low reluctance material. So why it is made up of a low reluctance material? In order to distribute more amount of flux near the poles. So this is the yoke importance. Now we'll see about the another part which is present in the stator, which is nothing but a pole core. Okay, so for that, to discuss the pole core topic we need to consider the diagram first. We'll see the diagram of a DC generator. So basically I'm drawing on a board, so it doesn't look a real circle, so adjust for this sake. Okay, okay. So remember, this is a yoke. Yoke is an outer core of a machine. I already told that yoke is an outer core of a machine. So I'm drawing the yoke. Sorry, the circle is not clear. Okay, adjust itself. Okay. So in this way, the starter looks like this is the stationary part of a DC generator. This way, the status looks like this is a yoke. This is the yoke. Okay. Inner part present in the stator is nothing but a stator frame. Stator frame. Yoke. It is also called as a inner yoke, outer yoke, and inner yoke. There are two parts, so it will be not coming into the terminology. So discuss the outer part. I already told that outer part is called as a yoke, so it covers inner parts of the machine, and it is not a conducting material. Yoke is not a conducting material. It is made up of a low reluctance material. It is not a conductor. Remember that point. Yoke is not a conducting material, so it is a made up of a low reluctance material. Here the stator frame is made up of a, I already told that the stator frame is called as inner yoke, inner part of a yoke. Okay, so that means this stator frame is also comes under yoke. Okay, so the stator frame here made up of a low reluctance material. Okay, that's all. I already told about a yoke. Okay, now we'll see about a pole core. So basically the poles are like this. In this shape. Okay, so here what is the core? Core is an iron part material. Okay, so this is nothing but where the windings are wounded on the iron part, which is nothing but a core. Okay, so here the windings, I'm drawing the windings which are wounded on the core, so that means this part is called as a core. This part is called as a core. So these are the poles, so that we can call it as a pole core. Okay, so what is the use of this pole core? We'll see. Okay, now you have understand what is a pole core, which supports the field poles, which supports the field winding. Sorry, which supports the field winding. Okay, that means upon the pole core only we are wounding the winding. Okay, we are wounding the winding. Okay, so now these are the some of the terminology which are not available in the English also, so be careful while presenting, so listen careful. Okay, so pole shoe. So now I am writing about a pole core. Pole core is nothing but a, it supports the field winding. Okay, now we have understand next what it do, what is the responsibility of the pole core. So it produces a necessary amount of flux. So without iron material, if the winding is wound, if we give supply, then the current will not produce. Why? Because the current itself produced, but the current will be flowing into this. It will not behave as a magnet. It will not behave as a magnet. If the iron part, if you take an iron part, then the wire is wound on it, so that whenever we given the supply to that wire, so it behaves as a electromagnet. It behaves as a electromagnet. So in order to behave, it is in a electromagnetic. So why? Because we are talking about a DC machine. DC machines are all of DC machine and AC machines are all of electromagnetic machines. Okay, electromagnetic machines. That means we are having a stator is having one winding and rotor is having another winding. So we are talking about a stator, means a stator is having one winding. That winding is nothing but a field winding. Okay, that winding is called as a, in stator there is a winding present inside the yoke or inside the poles. So that winding is nothing but a field winding. That winding is nothing but a field winding. So here the winding is nothing but a field winding. Okay. So this is the pole core. So what is the purpose of pole core? In order to produce the necessary amount of flux, and it also supports the field winding. And next important point is pole shoe. It protects it pole shoe. It supports a pole shoe also. It supports, we can write it in the same, it supports pole shoe. Pole shoe, we can write like this. Okay. So this is the functionality of a pole core. Now we'll see about a pole shoe. What is a function of a pole shoe? Okay. So we can see from the diagram, this is nothing but a pole shoe, the shoe tapered structure. So we can see the shoes, there is a bend here like a shoe. Okay. So the horseshoe will shape like a U shape. So it is a we can see the from the diagram, it is a shoe tapered structure, so that it is nothing but a pole, so it is called as a pole shoe. So what is the function of a pole shoe? It is mounted on the pole core, or it's supported by the pole core. Okay, it is supported by the pole core. Why it is bent like a shoe? In order to it distributes uniform air gap. If the if it distributes, so because of its tapered structure, so the flux will be uniformly distributed from the stator to rotor. From the stator to rotor, the flux will be uniformly, so everywhere the poles are present like this. Sorry. Okay. Everywhere the poles are everywhere the poles are projected like this. Okay. So in order to produce suppose here there is a, due to the excitation given to the field winding, north pole is present here, there is an opposite pole is present here. So you already know flux travels from north pole to south pole. Flux always travel from north pole and at a south pole. Okay. So due to this, uniform flux distribution from stator to rotor will be takes place when it is traveling from north pole to south pole. So in between this, there must be a uniform flux distribution should be created. So this uniform flux distribution is provided with this type of shoe shaped structure. So that is called as a, with the help of a pole shoe, we can distribute a uniform air gap between a stator to rotor, so that uniform flux distribution will take place from stator to rotor. So this is the purpose of a pole shoe. So now what is the purpose of a pole shoe? What is the purpose of main pole shoe? So it distributes the flux from stator to rotor uniformly. Okay. So this is the major point. Okay, understood? Okay. So what is the main purpose of the pole shoe? It distributes the uniform air gap, so that it distributes the flux from stator to rotor uniformly, and it is mounted on the pole core. Okay. Conductor, it is made up of a copper. conducting material. Why? Because winding is nothing but a conductor. Okay, so I already note that I already told that field winding is mounted on field winding is mounted on pole core. Okay, so what is the purpose of this winding? So whenever it is excited, what happens when current, so that current will be passing, into this, into the winding. Therefore, whenever the current is passing into the winding, due to this iron material, I am drawing again the pole here. This is the shape of iron material. Here the upon pole core we are placing a winding, that is nothing but field winding. So all these are connected in series. So here there is another pole. Okay, so all these windings are connected in series. Here there is another pole. Here there is another pole. Okay, sorry. We can draw like this. So we are connecting in series. So we are taking a two leads outside. One is positive, one is negative. Okay, in between this there is a rotor will be present. So up to here the poles we are calling it as a stator. Okay, so why? Because these poles are not rotating in nature. These poles are stationary. So here the winding is wounded on the field winding is also wounded on the stationary part, so that will it this field winding comes under stator. This field winding comes under stator. Okay, so now we are giving a winding excitation. So whenever excitation is given to the winding, so current will be passing into this. So due to the core material, so we are wounding it on iron material or core material. Okay, core is made up of a low reluctance material. So already told that core is made up of a low reluctance material, so that whenever current is passing into this, flux will be produced around this pole. So with suppose here due to the direction of current, it is created as north here and it is created at south here. Okay, so opposite poles are created here, so that flux will be traveling from north pole to south pole. Here also north pole is created, here also south pole is created, opposite polarities are created. So flux will be passing from north pole to south pole in this direction. Here also the flux will be passing from north pole to south pole in this direction. So we can see the purpose of the field winding is nothing but whenever it is excited, it will current will be passing into that winding, so that flux necessary amount of flux will be produced around the pole. Okay, so this is the main function of a field winding. So field windings are made up of copper, and field winding is mounted on the pole core, and whenever it is excited, current will be passing into that winding, necessary amount of flux will be produced. So the purpose of field winding is to produce necessary amount of flux, or produces amount of flux which required by the generator. Okay, so this is the main purpose of a field winding. And last important point in case of a stator is nothing but a brushes. Now we'll see about brushes. So brushes are placed on the rotor, but why it is placed in stator part? I already told that brushes are mounted on the commutator segments. The commutator segments are comes under rotor. Commutator segments are comes under rotor. But why brushes are calling it as a stator? Brushes. So we'll see the rotor construction. So already told that rotor is a rotating part. So this is not the correct shape. Okay. Okay. Now you'll see this is a yoke part, and that means a stator. In between here there are poles are present. Okay, poles are present like this. Okay, and next armature core will be there, and these are commutator having a large number of segments. So that means this is a rotor part. This is a rotor is a rotating part, that means this is a rotating one. Okay, this is a stationary part. Okay, so here stator consisting of rotor consisting of a armature. So rotor parts I am writing here. So in order to discuss about the brushes, so we are talking about a rotor. In order to discuss the rotor brushes part, we are discussing about the rotor parts. So rotor is having armature core, and I already told that there are two windings present in a rotating machine. One it is present in the stator, one it is present in the rotor. So we already seen that the winding which is present on the stator, which is called as a field winding. The winding which is present in the rotor is nothing but a armature winding. So why? Because as a rotor is called as an armature. So rotor is nothing but a armature in case of a DC machine. So that the winding which is present on the armature is nothing but a armature winding. The core which is present on the armature core is the core which is present on the rotor is nothing but armature core. And another most important point of rotor construction is commutator. So this thing, for this example, this is a rotor. So in this rotor only we are having a part called as a commutator. So I will discuss the parts present in the rotor later. Before that, we are going to discuss about a brush. Brushes are mounted on the commutator. So already told that what is meant by a what is this part. So what is this part? This is nothing but a commutator. Commutator is a part present inside a rotor of a DC generator. So upon the commutator, brushes are mounted. Here the commutator is a rotating part, but brushes are stationary. Brushes are stationary. Why? Because in order to collect the current from commutator segments, we need a brushes. We need a brushes. So the current is passing from the current which is passing from which is produced in the as a what is a function of a generator is nothing but which produces the electrical output inside armature due to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. What happens? This flux will be produced in the stator, and that flux is linking with the rotor. Rotor is having some conductors. which is nothing but a rotor is having winding. Okay, that is nothing but a armature winding. Whenever this flux is linking with this conductor, what happens? According to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, EMF will be induced. That is nothing but a alternating value of EMF. That means at every half cycle the value is changing. But we are discussing about a DC machine. DC machine. DC generator's topic. Okay. The output must be a direct current. Output must be a direct current. So in order to convert that AC EMF into a DC EMF, so we are using a commutator in order to convert AC value of EMF into DC. That means unidirectional. DC is also called as a unidirectional. Only one direction. It will not change the magnitude. Okay, at all the time with respect to time, it does not alters. So that's why it is called as a unidirectional EMF. So what is the purpose of commutator? It converts AC EMF into DC or unidirectional EMF. So that is the purpose of this commutator. So in order to collect the current from the that unidirectional current from the commutator segments, we are using a brushes. So now you got the point. What is the function of a brush? Brush function are brushes are mounted. First main part is in point of construction. Brushes are mounted on the commutator segments. These are the segments, number of splits. You can see here. Okay, again I will erase and I will redraw diagram. Okay, now we'll see what is meant by brush. So brushes, main it is, these are, sorry, these are mounted on yoke, sorry, mounted on what? These are mounted on, brushes are mounted on commutator segments. So I'm redrawing the rotor diagram only. Okay, suppose think this is a armature, think this is a commutator is having segments like this, number of splits called as a segments. Commutator. So detailedly we'll discuss later about this, what is meant by armature and what is meant by commutator later. Before that we are going to discuss about brushes. As we know that brushes are mounted on a, brushes are made up of a carbon low resistance material. Brushes are made of low resistance material. So in order to collect a huge amount of current, these brushes are made of low reluctance material. So why? Because resistance is always opposite to that of current, or inversely proportional to that of current. According to Ohm's law, we can say resistance is inversely proportional to current. R is equals to V by I. Okay, according to Ohm's law. So from this relation, we can say R is inversely proportional to. So resistance is always opposite to current. So if the resistance is low, that means the current will be high. So in order to pass more amount of current, these brushes are designed in a low resistance material, which are nothing but a carbon brushes. Carbon material has a low resistance material. So these brushes are made up of carbon material. So as these brushes are mounted on the commutator segments, so I already told that the main function of a commutator is nothing but to convert AC value of EMF into, here in armature there are conductors, slots in which conductors are placed, so that whenever the flux is linking with this conductor, due to this Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, an EMF will be induced. That EMF is nothing but AC value of EMF. That AC value of EMF can be converted into unidirectional EMF by using a commutator. Okay, that direct current is collected through these brushes. So the brushes main function is to collect the current from commutator segments. Collects the current from commutator segments. Okay, and it is an important point, it is made of low resistance material. Okay, so this is the brush importance. Okay, now we have seen the what are the parts present in the stator, what are the main parts which are present in the stator. Yoke, and we have seen the yoke functionality and the pole core functionality and pole shoe functionality and field winding functionality, and we have seen the brushes functionality. Now we will see about a rotor parts. The parts present in the rotor, we have already discussed the parts present in the rotor. In rotor we are having armature core, armature windings and commutator. These are the important parts present in the rotor. So we'll see one by one. Okay, so in DC machine, particularly we are talking about a DC machine, rotor is called as a armature. What is the other name of rotor? Armature. So we'll see talking about a armature core now. What is the function of armature core? So before that I am drawing a diagram of armature core. So here armature core consisting of slots like this. Okay, okay, so in this, like in this shape, slots will be there. These are called as open type slots or closed type slots. There are some semi enclosed type slots are also there, so in which the conductors are placed like this. That means the winding, armature winding is wounded on these slots. The conduct, what is the purpose of this armature core is nothing but core is made up of a low reluctance material. It is made of low reluctance material like yolk. So as I already told that yolk is made up of a low reluctance material, the same manner armature core is also made up of a low reluctance material. So here also that material used is of silicon, whereas in case of a yoke sometimes it will be a cast steel or cast iron or silicon steel is also used. Here in case of a armature core we are using a low reluctance material that is called as a silicon steel material. Okay, so I already told that it consists of what? Slots, armature slots, in which the armature conductors are placed. Okay, so we can observe that the armature core consisting of slots. So I already told that armature core consisting of slots like this is the shape of this armature slots, and in which the conductors are placed. Okay, so this is the main functionality of the core. As the core is laminated in order to avoid the eddy current loss, so the core is laminated to reduce eddy current loss. Okay, so what do you mean by eddy current loss? So that is another topic. So in order to minimize the so that will be eddy current loss will be occurring in the core part of the material. So due to amount of heat produced in the core material, so some loss will be occurring in the form of heat. That loss is nothing but a eddy current loss. So simply we can say that the I square R loss occurring in the core material is nothing but a eddy current loss. Okay, so now we'll discuss about what is meant by a armature winding. So far we have seen this armature core. What is meant by armature core? It is made up of a low reluctance material. So the purpose of the armature core is to hold the or houses the armature conductors which are placed on the slots provided on the armature core. Okay, so the purpose of the core is to houses the armature conductor, and it is the purpose of a core is to produce more amount of a flux. That is the main. So in order to produce more amount of flux, we are designed in such a way that it to made up of a low reluctance material. Here the low reluctance material is nothing but a silicon steel. Okay, and the core is also laminated in order to reduce the eddy current loss. We are using a silicon material is called as a high permeability material, which also reduces the hysteresis loss. Hysteresis loss is nothing but a magnetic material loss which occurs mainly on a magnetic material, which occurs mainly on a magnetic material. So that loss will be again we are discussing about in the latter topics. Okay, so for the sake of remembers, hysteresis loss is a loss occurring in the magnetic material due to reversal of magnetic reversals. So whenever the magnetic material is subjected to magnetization and demagnetization continuously, some loss is occurring in the magnetic material. That loss is nothing but a hysteresis loss. Okay, for the sake of remember like this. Okay, and next we are talking about a eddy current loss. Eddy current loss is nothing but a I square R loss present occurring in the core material, which is nothing but a eddy current loss. Okay, now we are discussing about armature windings. Now we'll discuss about armature windings. Okay. So as we know that armature winding, what is the purpose of armature winding? In case of a DC generator, one of the most important possibility, the EMF is induced in the armature winding whenever the flux linking with the conductor changes. So what is the meaning of this? So according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, as we know that stator, I'm again drawing this, remember this is a stator and this is a rotor. As we know that stator is having some poles, okay. So whenever we are giving a field winding, so stator is having some winding, that winding is called as a field winding, and rotor is also having some winding, that winding is called as a armature winding inside the rotor. Okay, this is inside the stator. So that means so whenever I am giving a field excitation means giving supply to the field winding. So whenever we are giving supply to the field winding, what happens? Flux will be produced in the stator, and that flux will be uniformly distributed to the rotor because of the pole shoe. Okay, so as the flux is passing from stator to rotor and links with the rotating armature conductors. Why we are calling it as a rotating armature conductors? What is an input of a generator? Generator input is nothing but a mechanical energy, no? So that means we are giving a mechanical rotation. So mechanical rotation to whom? Rotor of a generator. So by using a prime mover, we are already rotating the rotor by using with the help of at the time of starting only we are starting the prime mover. Starting the prime mover means prime mover is rotating. If the prime mover is rotating means what happens to rotor of a generator? Rotor will also rotate. If the rotor is rotating means what about conductors present inside the rotor, which are nothing but armature winding, is also rotating in nature. So whenever we are giving a field excitation to the stator winding, so what happens? The current will be passing into the field winding, and the flux will be produced in the field poles, and that flux will be uniformly distributed into the rotor and links with rotating armature conductors. According to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. Okay, so with the help of armature windings only, the EMF will be induced. So this is the necessity of these armature windings. Okay, and basically armature windings is of two types. Basically armature windings is of two types. What is this? We'll discuss. Armature windings are of two types. One is called lap winding, one is called wave winding. What is meant by lap winding and what is meant by wave winding? We'll see. This is not erasing. Okay. Okay. Now we'll see about a lap winding. So lap winding is nothing but a successive coil overlap on the previous coil. What is meant by coil? Coil means, so suppose we are having number of coil sides like this. This conductor is represented like this. Okay, conductor means coil side 1. Okay, so here depending upon the some calculation part, so you are numbering it as a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 some like this. Okay, so depending on the calculation part, there are some calculation, front pitch calculation and back pitch calculation are there. We are adding the first coil side to third coil side or fourth coil side depending upon the front pitch calculation. So again, depending on the fourth coil side is connected into the fourth coil side is connected to second coil side is calculated based on the back pitch calculation. These calculations are not necessary in the case of your subject. Okay, so this is an in-depth topic. Okay, so this is not necessary for you, and this is a fundamental. I am saying about what is the main difference between a lap winding and what is the main difference between a wave, what is about a wave winding, what is about lap winding. Just I will tell about the introduction part only. Okay, for the sake of remembers. So the addition of this winding in the type of front is called as a front pitch end connections. These are nothing but end connections. By joining the end points we'll get a front end connection, and with the help of front pitch, and this is called as a back pitch connection. So with the help of a back end connection, back end connection can be joined with the help of back pitch calculation. So in the same manner, two coil side is connected with the fifth coil side, and the fifth coil side is again returning to the third coil side. Here there is a overlapping of coil. That means we can define the lap winding as successive coils overlap on the previous coil. Successive coils overlap on the previous coil. Successive coil is nothing but the coil which is next coming to the next coil. Okay, that is nothing but a successive coil. That coils overlap on the previous coil. You can see the overlapping will occur here. Again it will comes to the inner part, and again it will overlap. Okay, so this type of winding is nothing but a lap winding. This type of connection is nothing but a lap winding connection. And in this type of lap winding, number of parallel paths is equals to number of poles. Here A is a capital A is a parallel path. A is called as a parallel path of a current, parallel path of current. So depending upon the number of poles which is produced, depending on the direction of a current, we can represent the direction of a pole. Okay, so in case of lap winding, the number of poles should be equal to number of parallel paths. So how many parallel paths are created in case of a, you already know nothing but a parallel connection. If there are n number of poles, then n number of parallel paths are created in case of a lap winding. So this is called as a parallel path. Suppose the current is passing the armature winding like this. Here how many number of parallel paths are created? 4 parallel paths are created. That means poles are 4 in this case. This case 4 poles are created, then parallel paths are 4. Okay, that means the winding which is this type of connection creates, which is equals to the parallel paths are created here is equals to number of poles. Okay, this is the lap winding. Now we'll discuss about a wave winding. Okay, okay, lap winding or wave winding. We'll see about a wave winding. What is meant by wave? So the word wave represents it it moves, or it this winding moves like a progressive wave. So that means there is no overlapping will occur. No overlap will occur. This winding moves ahead of a progressive wave. Okay, so that means, for example, we'll consider this coil sides. Coil side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember this? Here having a armature, we can have the slots. Suppose this is the first slot, and this is the second slot, and this is the third slot. Okay, so in the first coil slot we are having a first coil side. Okay, so that means we are represented like this. Okay, now we understand, got the point. Okay, so in the first coil side we are placing the first coil. Okay, first slot, we are, these are the slots provided in the armature core. In the first slot we are placing the first armature conductor, and how we are joining, the first slot is connected with the fourth slot. Again, the fourth slot is connected with the second slot. The same manner, depending upon the front pitch calculation and back pitch calculation, we are calculating. This is the front pitch calculation, and this is calculated with the help of back pitch calculation. Okay, now we are drawing it a wave winding. This is for we are seeing the lap winding. I have told the example for the lap winding. Now we'll see about a wave winding. So depending upon the front pitch calculation, the first is connected to the fourth. Okay, and the fourth is again added to the seventh conductor or eighth conductor, depending upon the back pitch calculation, and it is again moving like this, and it will not return to the next conductor. It will move like a progressive wave, and it will end at some point. This is nothing but a wave winding. Now you got the point. So there is no overlapping of this conductor. There is no returning of the conductor, so that is nothing but the overlapping. Okay, so now you can understand what is the difference between a wave winding and what is the difference between a lap winding. This is the structure of a wave winding. Okay, it moves like a progressive wave, and there is no overlapping will occur. This is nothing but a wave winding. In case of this wave winding, number of parallel paths is always created at a 2. Why? Because it is connected at the time of starting, the current will be passing. At the time of ending, the current will be leaving. There is no mediating path will be there. So that's why the parallel paths are created is always 2. Okay, so here the number of parallel paths is nothing but a 2. Case of a wave winding, number of parallel paths is nothing but a 2. Okay, one it is at starting and one it is at leaving end. Okay, wave winding, we can say it is a series winding and coach. So this is the wave winding. So we have discussed the armature winding topic in detail. Okay, now we'll see about a commutator. Now we'll see about a commutator. What is meant by commutator? Actually, drawing the commutator diagram. So this is the structure of a commutator. We are having slits like this. We are having splits like this in commutator. Commutator is a large split ring which having splits or segments like this. Okay. Okay. So this is called as a commutator. Commutator is a large split ring. The main function of commutator is to convert AC EMF into unidirectional EMF. To convert AC EMF into unidirectional EMF or unidirectional current. Okay, so this is the purpose of a commutator. Is also called as a mechanical rectifier. Why it is called as a mechanical rectifier? Means mechanical, it is rotating, it is a rotating device, it is comes under the rotor. Okay, so the commutator is a large split ring. It consists of a number of splits. So it consists of number of splits called as segments. Okay, like this, these are the segments. Okay, so the main function of commutator is to convert AC value of EMF into DC value of EMF or unidirectional EMF. So it is also called as a mechanical rectifier. This is the basic diagram of a DC generator, which is showing all the parts. So we can see from this diagram